Kelly, good to see you again. I say see you again. We've had this virtual relationship for a year. Many congratulations, because when we last spoke, you were in charge of Ireland. We had a great conversation about sort of diversity and stuff over the summer. How does it feel to have the new job?
Yeah, no, it's great to see you. One day I feel confident we'll meet in person.
Sure.
But yeah, no, I'm super excited for the new job. It's a great opportunity. I'm thrilled that I still have Ireland in my responsibility. It will always be a close place in my heart. And I left that role a little bit sooner than, that I had thought, but thrilled for the opportunity to be in the UK now and running the whole zone for Schneider.
What has it felt like? I mean, you've been in the role for a few weeks now. How has it felt? Has it felt any different? Obviously, I mean, Ireland, as you said, you were there for a couple of years. You got to know what the market was like, and there's a lot of similarities with the UK market. But can you perceive some differences already?
Yeah, I think the UK government is certainly a different piece of this role. Schneider has built substantial relationships broadly with the government in the last couple of years to try and influence, quite frankly, where the Prime Minister has announced he's going from a net zero and green perspective. So I think that is definitely interesting and exciting for me. We're seeing real opportunities in the UK along those lines. A much bigger responsibility in terms of revenues and number of people, and we have significant factories in the UK which fall into my overall remit. So it's definitely a different type of job. And like any new job, I'm getting up to speed. I'm meeting more people that I might not have known. I'm, trying to decide where am I going to spend ultimately my time, because there's the opportunity to run the business, which is sort of my first job, if you will. And then
Sure.
There are so many other portions of this job that I need to determine where do I spend my time appropriately. And so that piece is fun and different.
I suppose the biggest difference for you to your predecessor, Mike, is that you're not getting a chance to meet anyone. So how do you do this? That's an extraordinary way to become CEO without any handshaking, without having that kind of personal context. How have you found doing that? Because that I think would be a very big challenge when you join a new organization. Everything's just virtual.
It is. I'm lucky because I was in Ireland the last couple of years that a lot of the individuals who are working for me now were my peers. And so I have met them. I do have relationships. We've seen each other in person, but there's plenty of people, especially our customers and trade organizations and government officials that, I am meeting virtually. Like everybody, I am so excited for the day that I can sit down and have a coffee somewhere and meet somebody in person. But it has its challenges. I think there's less of the chit chat, right? It's a little bit more because, a year into our Zoom lives, I think we're all just sort of over the chit chat in a lot of ways. And it's time to, meet people, understand what they need from our business, and how we can work together further to move forward everybody's mutual goals. So that piece is different, but gosh, I'm excited for a coffee, a cocktail, a game, any way that in the next, hopefully later this summer, we'll begin to be able to start to see people.
Tell me about it. Tell me about it. Let me ask you this. I mean, look, there's a lot been made about you being a woman in this role. You've been on various channels as well. We had, International Women's Day not that long ago. Does it matter that you're a woman? Does it really matter? You're just a new boss, aren't you?
Yeah, I think I'm a new boss with a really solid skill set of leading businesses and evolving businesses. Does it matter that I'm a woman? What I hope it does is actually see that we're a company that values differences. And not just male, female, but differences of background and experience. Because remember, I'm a CEO running a business in the UK and Ireland, but I'm an American.
Sure.
And so, that in itself is a difference as well. So more than anything, I hope it's that people see that I believe in opportunities, that I believe in everybody gets a chance to prove themselves. I'm a big believer in a meritocracy. So the best people will get the jobs. And it's, I'm getting lots of opportunities to talk about diversity and inclusion. And it's, as you know, it's a definite passion area for me.
Yeah.
But what I hope is that it's about really inclusion, and that, we're a company that shows everybody matters and everybody has something to offer.
When we spoke last summer, you were very keen to say that you didn't just want engineers, this idea that people who work, you can come from different backgrounds. Now that you're in position, is this something you want to foster more? This kind of, it doesn't matter what your background is, forget race, creed, all of that, but even your background, whether you come as an apprentice or whether you come from a very different field, you could find a home in your organization, you're saying?
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, we're doing a lot of different recruiting of younger people into the organization, or new talents, if you will, less work experience. But I'm looking at our whole pipeline of talent. I'm trying to understand, we certainly have individuals in the organization who are also closer to wanting to retire. They've earned it. But how do I take all of that experience and help newer people in their professional careers to make us a full organization? And so, we have 5 generations of working individuals in the organization now, and that brings its own opportunities with it. And so that's, for me, one of the ways I'm really looking at this, which is, yes, we will hire plenty of engineers. It's we are an engineering company, we're a technology company, but I'm looking for experiences much like my own, right? Like we talked about, that I've built a career by having some differences, by having different trains of thought, by having different experiences in a lot of different ways. And I value that. And so for me, we will be looking even more for people that bring something different to our organization.
Let's talk about your net zero ambitions. Now, your predecessor, Mike, did a lot. Obviously, your ultimate CEO has made his intentions clear about your company. What do you want to tell customers that you're going to do to enable them to progress on their net zero journey?
I think we're here to help them in their journey. And I think it's a journey, and all companies, including our own organization, will move at different paces. They'll have different considerations. Their workforce will be a portion of this, right? And what our own people are pushing us quite hard, as you can imagine, to be the world's most sustainable company is something we're very proud of. And our employees expect us to live up to that expectation in our own factories and offices as well. And so I think part of it is to help our customers with the journey, and part of it is to show them the way.
So by leading, sorry to interrupt, by showing what you're doing, is that what you're saying?
Exactly, by leading. And so, I announced a couple of weeks ago that you're aware that we're moving our entire fleet to be electric vehicles by 2025 in the UK. And that for me is part of the leading. It's showing that it is possible. It's showing and sharing with our customers, how we did our own pilots, how we're looking at this, how we included our employees during the pilot phase to provide feedback. And that for me is about how we help customers understand where they can go, both from their operational side, but from maybe a little bit of the softer side, if you will, which is, how do you get your employees to drive electric vehicles? Why should that be interesting to them?
When it comes to kind of where we are, I think this is a very pivotal year. I mean, we've got COP coming up later in the year, but the government has made it clear that it's doing things. You've seen the announcements over the last few months. You've seen even just a recent announcement about kind of, repair shops coming back, making manufacturers like you put in things that have an ability to be repaired. So there is an end of life cycle for electrical goods. These are all things that show that there's an ambition amongst government. As the country president now, what do you want to see from government? What do you want to do yourself? Because it's going to be a two-way street. Part is regulation, but part is businesses like yourselves building in things that aren't obsolete, that have a way to be, have an end of life. So can you take me through your thoughts around that?
Yeah, I mean, I think first and foremost, we're really thrilled with what the government is talking about publicly in relation to net zero and green ambitions for the country. I think the UK has the opportunity to lead in the world, and we're seeing that. And so we're thrilled with that. I'm also a really big believer in this idea of public-private partnerships, right? So the government has to lead the way in terms of regulation and what the expectation is. But then it's going to take a lot of work out of private corporations to actually industrialize that. And that's where I think we see our opportunity is, as you know, Schneider is in so many different aspects of the market, right? From residential all the way up to the utility and everything in between. And we believe we can touch so many of those opportunities and make a difference in our market. And then obviously, you know, one of the roles we believe we play is also advising government in, you know, actually, hey, the idea was great, but we need you to think about it this way a little bit, because we might not be able to industrialize it in the way it was originally thought up in a government committee, as an example. And so we see part of our opportunity, but part of our responsibility is to also have that regular dialogue with our peers, governments, our trade organizations that we're a member of, to help really accelerate and industrialize the opportunity that's ahead of us.
Do you think that, you know, it's a bit of a cheesy question, but net zero has come of age? Because I think over the last, you know, we started just in January of 2020, and what's happened in the last year and a bit is incredible, the progress, not just here, but globally, you know, massive nations declaring their intentions. Is this basically now, not, I wouldn't say the cost of business, but this is business now. So whatever you are doing, no matter what size you are, your carbon is now the same as kind of your profit line or whatever else.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting because it also, by the way, relates back to your diversity and inclusion question, because I think what we're seeing is investors, and that can come in so many ways. It can come in your individual investments, it can come in your retirement and pension accounts, it can come as a private equity company. But all of those entities are now requiring us to be more thoughtful, right? Both from, hey, we expect women to be on boards. We expect diversity on your leadership teams. And at the same time, we also expect you to be thoughtful about the environment and where you're going. You know, as an American, I'm thrilled that President Biden is rejoining the Paris Climate Accord.
A little bit of politics there.
But more than that, it's the understanding and the belief that what is happening in our environment and the climate matters, right? And if one of the world's largest countries says it doesn't matter, then it allows others to not say it matters. Whereas now I think we're all much more, once again, aligned, hopefully, that says this does matter. It matters for the future. And it matters today. And COVID, I actually think, with the fact that we're all working from home and we're not on the roads and we're not flying and we're not doing those things, has shown people that in a course of a year, you can make a really big impact, but we have to be thoughtful about it. And the minute we can all get back in a plane and fly for summer holidays, people are going to do it. And so that's where we've got to, as a business, push even harder with our partners and our customers to say, but there are still so many things we can impact to improve. So it is interesting that in the last year to 18 months, the conversation, it feels like it's just become a non-negotiable. Yeah. And for us as a business, but also as a citizen, I'm quite excited about that. I think it's just an immense opportunity for us to, as a global population, get ourselves a bit back on track, maybe.
Anything before we end, you know, you could say that you really want to do, and it's a bit unfair because you've only been in the post a little while, but is there something that you say, right, do you know what, this is something I really want to do with this company to progress in the net zero field? Have you had a think around anything like that at all?
Yeah, I mean, we'll continue to do things around our own sites and our own people, and we're working on a number of sort of internal opportunities that hopefully I can share with you at some point about how we're thinking differently. But, you know, the number one for me is around our people. You know, I want Schneider Electric in the UK and I to be the place everybody wants to work, that we are just attracting unbelievable types of talent, as we've talked about, with really diverse backgrounds, and that we're thinking thoughtfully about our impact into our own communities as well. And so we're working through some real ideas that certainly we'll share more publicly in the coming months, which is around not just, you know, hey, we have a factory in Leeds, but what are we doing in the Leeds community? How are we working with others and other corporations and our customers to create a positive impact in those communities in which we're active. So I'm really excited about those kinds of things. You know, the opportunity, it's amazing as a CEO, is that you have so many talented people running a lot of the day-to-day below you, that you can think about the strategic things. And that for me is such an opportunity. And so I'm thrilled about that, to look forward in how do we really move our strategic perspective forward, both from people, but also in the business.
And to end with, for viewers of this who are businesses, you could be your customers, right? And not just big ones, obviously you have conversations, but smaller ones as well. What do you want them to get from Schneider? What are you going to offer those people? As I said, you know, are you going to say, look, we can have conversations, or are you going to say, look, I'll just sell you a product that helps you on the pathway?
No, I think, you know, the journey to sustainability is a conversation. That's where you start. And it's, you start in the same place with, you know, your small company as you do with a multinational. You start with a conversation which is around, what are you looking to accomplish? What is it that you have in terms of goals? And then how can Schneider and our, you know, it's great to sell product, but to me, it's much broader than that. It's about what are you looking to accomplish? And then you fill in the product and the software offers and the services offers and all of that thing to hit your ultimate goal. So yeah, I mean, we're open to so many types of companies and what they're trying to accomplish, because for us, it starts with a conversation. I also think we're the type of company that if we're not the solution for you, that we will generally tell you, but here's who you should talk to, right? Or think about it this way. So call us, let's have a conversation. Let's start in helping people towards their net zero journey.
Well, I wish you great luck this year. I'm sure you'll do very well. And we'll have a coffee, or actually a cocktail would be better anyway.
Let's hope so.
Kelly, thank you so much for joining us, and best of luck with everything.
Thanks so much for having me.